Oh, that's how much somebody should done. Another three years at the work it's in the Ni Jushi Dembashigola, on the part of Geshe to lunch each one a day. Gave somebody and got some testimony years and Tanda the online Nikajero, Chando let some demo use.
Welcome everyone to this Monday class, which will be dealing with the Four Noble Truths, the teaching and explanation of that. And we are very fortunate to have that opportunity to hear that. So, Geshe David, welcome in that regard, and also to those online listening as well.
That, you know, the Jinda Tamosan, Gulong, Gomshikara, Gomdes, Jimna, and Telination, Jinda Chunia, the Chi Marang Zuleta, Simjin Tamjela, Nichi, Negab, Tatu to Yak Chidi. Simji Shin Pema to Yak Chidi, Jindaji. Niembadan, Sambadan, Comba, the Chigin, Sabe, Gulunch, Cheshosra.
Because it's the first class, Monday class of the series, it is good that we correct our intention, our motivation, that we're going to listen to this Dharma for the temporal and ultimate well-being of all living beings, that we benefit them. So, to that end, we will hear, reflect, and meditate this class and beyond.
Oh, yeah, that dog around the three Jawad in the Maya, and Ya Jumdin de Sungwe, Chu, Zashim with the Legend in each one a day. Give some way, some cow comes raw.
We should rejoice that we have the fortune again to meet with the Dharma, the teaching of Shakyamuni Buddha. Rejoice in that.
Oh, yeah, that Adam will Dinshi, Dimbashi, and Lobjon Shen, 편도 그래요, 그래서 편요 그래요, 이 직시나 야고 그래서
Firstly, I'd like to talk about what are the benefits of studying the Four Noble Truths. What does one get out of it?
다 대시 대시 남샤데 셰베이나 모두 낭바이나레 낭바마이나 수 잠바이나 야고 그래서 다 지 낭바이나 와 낭바이나 그래서 낭바지이나 이 군조스무지 가리미시다 하버스니데 간데 신기가 네 산제스니데 간데 제톱지 람 간데 미 된데 신용 거래서 시 람데 위남샤 세우신도 그래서 낭바 이나 와 낭바 신디 요나 나 낭바 많이 바체로 하면 지당 미지 마다 추 견데 된데게 디메스 낭바도 된데게 메스 나가 농배 추니 된 실업전 지경이 있어 그럼 쟤는 아니 펜도 그래요라나 공원에 주시는데 셈나라지 남자당 도보당 아니지 공원에 좀 먹고 주시는데 니네 처에나게 강에 먹고 싶지 세트비아다 니심기 도보다 남도다 동네 먹고 싶지 세야 근데 나네 시제 먹고 싶으시는데 수수 니 대체 로지 첨부 차로야 봐 다 체디 지고 많이 배야 제 신다제 요사를 들어 한거 삼절 미디 로제 첨부 차야 근데라 편도 첨부 쉬워요 그래서
Top job, sure. Power test,
네
So then, in terms of, it is beneficial to study the Four Noble Truths, whether one is Buddhist, whether one is not a Buddhist, whomever. It is good initially if one is Buddhist, because then one comes to understand the three rare sublime ones, the nature of the liberated state, and of course, final Buddhahood, the final liberation, in terms of the path and the method to reach those two states in terms of basis, path, and result. Secondly, if you're not Buddhist, if you don't, in general, you just want to study, you're not Buddhist particularly, but you want to study it. It is good also because then you can come to get some feel for reality, how things are. And in this sense, it's good to study reality because it will help us reduce our mental worries and anxieties. And sometimes in this life, when we face difficulties, knowing the reality of these truths helps to remove those, in the sense that the mind has less mental constructs, thoughts, and worries. And then one gets the knowledge, the kind of notion that there's something more than just this life. It gives a kind of like a courage, a broader view.
아니 덴바 시나네 덴바 통문이 로전 제베이나 아니 싱어원에지 싱그레스로 와 완전원에지 아니 잠링 체사 잠링 유니버시티로 아니 잠링 저 탁야스 남바게 어딘데 켈렌제디 잠링디 춘주 쇼레스로 와 당가 뉴뉴 춘주 자 춘주 쇼지래 할래 망고 켈렌치가 요래 아니 테네스 수고 루그네단 두다 로아 안직 왜 피직 콘트 피직 유타며 그거네 두다 아니 직 수고 나게 제도 두다 아니 지 도저 셰베게 심게 디도고 두다 도저로 아니 지 나라서 내다 강해라고 지 태연디 장가라 아니 나라서 남자 규연식 도와지 체가 도로 미지직 쓰면도 니니 쓰면도 그래서 규연식에 대해 하장게 다른 거 사무담비나 먼저 페나직 내가 먹고 싶지 아니 인직 가서 그래 묘모 심 추구에 엉이 중대하러 와 그때 파바바다지나 심 추구디 채되게 지금 많이 봐 겨워 먹고게 레스나레 심 추구스나레 심 사무동자 담았나레 Jawa Duja Shavasnare, Pemba Duja Damasnare, and their ongi, and they do Duja Yongo, and their Ratter. And Moneg to you in another Nizu stigmatism, and this is a Tobo, Tomo, Pama, Pinja, Tuzola, Chiranzi, Yavuchamason, Lagura. That when is the shame do, Pades, Taran Projene, or that be the Duskas or Nezudi, Manzuchigo, Remendo, the Joma Winner Shasam, David de sometime do, and I'm Sanji, same with Dumi, Tuba Masoyadan, Nyok the Chiromadayadan, Mileji Chambadan, Zewadan, Midami Baro, Java to the shame do. The Chairman, Chukamalini, and there some down among which shame do. This is to Jung, some down Petticora. George, ni Dunga Mongoshoji, Rancho New Drayatan. And the chick the Gina, Rancho to Vanatinde. Chick, Shingu Jamba Chigogi, shame, or restaurant, Tambatan when you jump Chigogi to the shame, or a pain in the day or restaurant.
To me, it's not very clear.
No, man, you can put it here.
Oh, yeah, no problem. Can you hear now? Yeah. Okay, so in terms of, yeah, how's it now?
Yeah.
So in terms of just the first two truths, if one studies that, and one is not particularly coming from an angle of being Buddhist, but just knowing the world, this world system, and it is one of so many world systems. And actually, from a Buddhist perspective, if we look at this universe, it's just a tiny one of many, countless universes. And even if we examine on the level of our bodies, in terms of physics, like the quantum level of our bodies, this examination can be done. And the body's subatomic particles, what goes to make their physicality, their matter. And moreover, the mind aspect of things, consciousness, how does it function? So then also, in terms of these first two truths, looking at when we face problems, often we look to some place externally to see the cause and conditions of our problems. And you tend to think it's something very far away, or not part of you. But actually, we come to see that when we go through difficulties in life, and we have these afflicted mental states and emotions, it is not just happening on the pretext of this life alone, but it is happening as the result of many, many lives past, the cause and conditions for this life's experience, karma. And whether you call these things negative thoughts, negative emotions, invalid states of mind, invalid states of perception, then you might initially recourse to think, oh, it's my family, it's my relatives, or so-and-so did bad. But actually, when you come to see reality, the real nature of things, you come to see that actually the cause and conditions behind you going through difficulties is not just this life, not just this life at all. The mental problems and worries and anxieties we have is coming from many causes and conditions. And one doesn't have to be a Dharma person to be able to study and know this. And the other fact is that just by studying this level of reality, by nature, the mind undergoes change. By nature, the mind becomes more peaceful and blissful. This is in context of the first two truths.
And that 동해도 대배 그들이나 용지 대고로 해봐.
Yeah.
그들이나 선범마기와 강해지는 대고로서는 티 대고야 말이 대들이 대하게 탑람이 요래스니 람디 좀 된데 근데 람 탑다디 당기 대바 당원이 신고면에 주샤로 다드네 뭐에 주나는 아주 강이 뭔지 되게 여러 심기 좀 요목이 좀 뭔지 통고 여러 대이나 다디 세베 탑람이 요래스로 람 트베진 바스로 lam grodang rimbaji yore ani sheba dije nyomo dije de ani pha mewa sa ga thamlam ji duk sta da chumne de ro 디 탑람 디도기 아니 뇨모 다 동네단 체베 체와 시바지 토비아도 시제 네 송주디 람드베 림바다 아니 지 템바 탕보 타마니데 람데다 고덴세 장용데 로 딘데지 도스다다 먼저 가디는 동네 뇨모도 아수지 베전시나 동네드네 대야기 탑람지 도스르바 람딘 베전시나 제나 체베 체와 타바사지 토비아도 다 단당아란저게 천년이야기 대화디 대화레면도 쓰와 대화디 거네 지 교원 메뉴기 대화지 타바세 아직 도스체다 이 상담도 미디 지 가서 그래 아뭐 세미기 배 푹다른 보다 미미미류된디 통다 첨부직 지주 요하다 미류된디나라 네 레가도지 게임 망보지 요하다 근데 상담도 미디라 지 수수 지고 럽종당 공잡 대비는 지야디 심진신 지디윈 상담인데 아니 되게 베스스 로덥당 아니 메지 천단데 뭐 용기요다 근데 신운데 메지 닝부도 메지 고던도 메지세야데 네 천다 요도 메지신이디 개침부 임바 아 직신운데 강에 가르쳐에 있는 것도 직 무슨 선보 무슨 도고 마셔야 돈나 아니 미망고지랑 시켜야 돼. 근데 야그 말해서 가르치는 단다 망고지 줄해야 돼서 나 간제네 내지 친주직 단다가 가르치는 식으로 나 단들 내가 망고지야 있을 때 그러 이 편도 쉬어지도 와디 저한테 람 람데다 고댕 도 시메이나로
It's the case that in life we experience discomforts, dissatisfaction, sadness, and difficulties. But there is a path beyond that. No need to stay in that. And of course, with the first two truths, Shakyamuni Buddha set forth, Namsha, set forth the nature of reality in terms of seeing those dissatisfactions and problems, but that latterly, beyond those, there was a liberated path, a path beyond that dissatisfaction and suffering, a mind that can be free of afflicted states, and a method to remove those afflicted states. So a mind that's free of incorrect modes of perception, is free of incorrect cognitions. This is true paths and true cessations, the latter two truths. And these are to be studied. It's good to study them, because then we come to see you don't have to stay in a state of dissatisfaction and suffering all the time. With effort, it is up to us to see, is the cessation of the problems possible or not in finality? Is bliss possible or not? Now, what happens is the bliss we experience is not really bliss because it's in the nature of change, isn't it? But we should really take a longer term view with our perfect human rebirths and think, how about striving for a state of bliss that's irreversible, that's final? And then in the context of that life, when we start to see that's possible, we will get courage, take effort. And this is what is meant by making the perfect human rebirth meaningful and of value, seeing its value. Also, when one has this broad-minded and long-term view, when one faces difficulties, one doesn't become buzatopa or narrow-minded approach. For some people, when they face difficulties, are so narrow-minded, they might even take their own lives. But here, you would be thinking, oh, what I'm facing in terms of difficulties, that's nothing. I have another job to do. So that job I have to do that's left over is cultivating these cessations by means of the method, the path.
먼저 미망오지 먼저 민류된디 메제 전다스니디 야고지 하고 오면도 디제니다 란시제니 망고야디 메제 전다 그림바디 하고 말아라.
Seems to be the case that people are not aware of the value or the meaning of being human, and being unaware of the meaning of life, of being human, And a lot of people take their own lives.
그냥 저 낭배 중에 셰드 미르딘 자주 뭐 쉬우지. 그거 먼저 단데 빼 그거 요거 쉬우지 않아요. 데데라 레드 망고 자치 뭐 망고 치도고요. 수수 단달라고 미 망고게 디둑세도 내가 지고요. 근데 지역이 유 그거 딜려다는 빼 방보라 알아.
Because from the perspective of Buddha Dharma, having a human support, a human rebirth is immeasurably, it has such value. Because with that basis, let alone removing your own suffering, you can remove the suffering of so many beings. So to not recognize that and to take one's own life would be a great loss.
어디 대시시에 편들의 당보들과 편 양에 대해 누구서지 마시나 이시시에 편을 당보들의 편의 시나 야고요라.
Yeah, I did give 7 outlines of the how we would approach these Four Noble Truths. The first of which was, what are the benefits of studying it? And it's good to know the benefits.
지난주 펜도 그래요. 상담에 펜도 쉬우지요다 단당에 셰와디 마지 고모zamre미지 딜rel하게 네 펜도 망고요. 서로탄도.
Yeah. So it's good if we really understand what are the benefits of studying the Four Noble Truths. I mean, I've just given it in a very kind of pithy way, but that's not even stating half of it. It's vast.
다 내가 그 디지드웨나레 타두그 디지드웨라 덴바 시시베이나 쉬우지 펜도 요가당 아니 타나 수수수수기 베나가란서 단지가 온게 너 동해 몸 용데 그거와 다고 진배 온게
다고 진배
수수라 동해 몸 용데 코 뒤제 탐제 미다고래 란시고나 미다고래 요도그래 라인데 이 교도와들 신나치고 개요 말아라 아니 되고 뭐 리얼하게 뭐네 다디 나는 주어도고요. 주어도는 나는 심벌했어. 나는 주어도단들라네. 주어디 루 주어도단들 양도 레양도 동의도 개배 동의라 등도 밀라 동의 전부 되고라. 제 뉴제담제 미다고래 라비는데 개배 동의 치고 왔자면도 그런 직도 그래요. 그 주어도래요. 다고. 다 이나고 주어도네 다치 주어 심기 주어도단들라 대전이 용거라. 심 야고지 교도나 나도 디게 용거래 심기 교도 심 두자지 가나와 도스나나 나도 동의 용거라 어딘데 상무 치는데 다 교도디 왕기 심 교도에 왕기 나도 디두 탐 차는 것도 세상에 심데 교와 약에 절라 땅 거도 아 저리고래 약 심이 컨데스탄 거래서 네 람다 로종다 아니 남배 슝네 로종치기나 심 교와 단단 그림바 낭주도 또 심주어 당당 좀 뭐냐래서
So then let's look at the benefits of studying the Four Noble Truths in terms of a temporal well-being and ultimate well-being. That's how it can benefit us. Temporarily, we tend to grasp at the notion of a permanent self. And if we understand that all compound things are subject to change, then we're not going to fear the fact that we change, because this accords with reality. It's true, isn't it? So the fact is that I go through change, but the point is to know that I change. Well, the body changes, doesn't it? We age and we get older. So if we understand this first, like this seal, that all compound things are impermanent, then there's no need to fear. Yeah, I changed. It is okay. The body's going to change. I'm aging. So secondly, it is a mind that undergoes change. It is a mind that becomes happy. It is a mind that becomes sad. And on more subtle levels, the mind changes as well. Well, if that's the case, what can we do to make sure that the mind changes in a positive direction, to a better side? In that sense, then we use, in the context of Buddha Dharma, these methods of mind training, mind transformation, such as the paths, the mind transformation. Here, Buddha Dharma is mainly concerned with mental transformation, the mind changing. No.
어디電子시에 pen 당보디 돌두치로.
Yeah. So that's really just an essential benefit of studying the Four Noble Truths.
아 니버데 뒤는 니버데 가려서나 아니 어나데 펜에電子데 수송물에 간산 수송물에 있어. 아니 유 사자 가war라 송을에 있어. 투주 가두 송을에 있어. 아니 송세 간산 뭐 뒤자 수를 송물에 있어. 아니 송야게 최대 가르에 있어. 아니 최대 송당 림바디 아니 간데레 있어. 어디 되게 지디 표현도나 대전도와 어디 되게 마상 단계 먼저 시기 제정인다서.
So I'm going to go through these 7 outlines, and we just looked at the first one. What are the benefits of studying the Four Noble Truths? Secondly, who taught it? Thirdly, where was it taught? Place. Fourthly, what time was it taught? Fifth, who were in the retinue, who was present at the time that it was taught? Sixth, what Dharma was taught, what was taught in the Four Noble Truths. And then finally, what are the stages? What's the order of their teaching? And what are the characteristics and aspects? So I thought it's good to go through these outlines in this manner.
아니와 간산 수송물에서나 아니 최 덴바시데 도마좀네데 송을에서.
Yeah, so second point, who taught Four Noble Truths? It was taught by Shakyamuni Buddha.
자 도마좀네데 아니 당보 개별세를 통 아니 지다 미망이 미망고지기 동해세 담람 지구도 아니 지 직상신기 더내로와 지 강과면이 강과대 도면이 도로대야 칼라면이 칼라대 데데데베네 동해신이 연대기 여러와 네 동해디 가내 용도 다데 삼로단다 메시바다 심마디가 응응고 신다디 펜도 지구도 스테이지랑에 미래 펜도 지구랑 나랑게 심디 두고도 시제네 두시네 네 rabdi 총로와 아니 가와체 봄접 냠nen체 안 다도게 가서래 공방 때 산지 공방사야지 톱 잠블링 나게다 오늘 그런 사드 망고래로 먼저 미릭 다냠로와 미 릭토메 다냠스니 직 부담 보모 다냠래로 보물래 직추 정말 직업 정치에 요와 아니 학과도 가서래 체리 켜제래 뭐 체리로다 뭔가를 더네 아니 경우를 봐 직된처도 두 아니 직세베 남샤 다루고 남샤 필로소피로 다 배디 점링 통매게 이러고 차대요 나 간다로 그래서 제 저런도 체리베 점링은 통마 당보선이 인스케다 제거다 좀내대 당보 고제월다 당할 때에스게요 말이야 디 당보서요 디 얘기 미디두시야 게디니 마 서션주 전야를 미셔지 배샤망보서야 당 아니 민청부차야 당 수수 제갑디 야고체 꾸노든데 제요 말아 지금 심지어 탐제에게 동해서야 당 대어두야 꾸노데 하장에 다시 뭐 쉬지 인자 좀 된데 단다이네 송션여데 맞아 아니 제주 지구라 제가 송보부 감사한데 도디로지 남다 된데 레스로 도디로지 레스한테 좀 된데서 루션 충분히 깔려 좀 중된 교제를 와 똑똑할 중요한 데가 말해서
So about the person that taught the Four Noble Truths, Shakyamuni Buddha was born into a royal caste. And even within that state of being royalty, saw the suffering nature, the satisfaction. He saw that people suffered, they still needed to be housed. Some were without clothes, they needed clothing. Some were without food, they needed to be fed. But he saw that on this substantial level, just to give those things would not alleviate the suffering of those people. He came to see that in fact it was an unsubdued mind that created suffering. So therefore Lord Buddha sought to subdue his own mind, thoroughly pacify his own mind of suffering. To that end he went forth as an ordained one, and then meditated and practiced and attained to the state of Buddhahood, at which there is no distinction between higher, lower, caste, lineage, males, female, whatever. And Lord Buddha then saw reality in the entirety, because of Senkang Rikpatang, and then went through, and set forth the teachings in these areas, like how the world came to be, mind, science, or philosophy. Yeah, what is the view? What is the view of the nature of reality? How did the world come to be? Cosmology, medicine, all of these areas were seen, were realized. So, I mean, we talk about scientists who were concerned of how the world came to be. Well, in a sense, Buddha was not really concerned with that, even though he saw it. He was concerned with how do we remove the suffering from sentient beings? How do people become free from suffering? Buddha was not concerned with being famous, having a name, or just his country doing well, not things like that. Because his motive was vast in terms of removing the suffering of sentient beings, and he put great effort into that. The teaching is to this day. It didn't come about just suddenly out of nothing.
좀 된데 산제에 무슨 이까지 일하다 무슨
Hello.
왜 당고디 아니 기구 당고 그런 게 데와 소모 다 안디라고 아마게 아자 기구 당고 보면 당고디 니워디 장지만 좀 된데 그마 데와다 사마제 공게 지금 제부세 제부 주모로 장지만 somebody azu bamida 데와 서 이게 아니죠 바운죠 빈자죠 혼수성 보무성이 가진 데네 산제의
So it is said that Lord Buddha attained Buddhahood due to the kindness of 3 women, one of whom was Buddha's mother's sister, what we would call auntie, and then the one king's, her name Kiwadama, and one king's princess, and then there was a nun as well. So these 3.
혼자 딜러라 당고데 기구 당문데다 춘주네 참바다 제와게 짠베 아마 베 참제 시오래도 베 참제 그런 게 짠네 수수 부글을 학스타로 그런 게 기구 당무 그런 게 부구디 네 사제신다라 게니 아니 좀 된데라야 다중천 대로 그래서는 좀 된데 용 통과라고라 예 부구디 그냥 나오자 켈렌치죠 야고 소중치고 제티 켈렌치는데 아마 그런 게 부분에 제가 신달로 당제 좀 된데라야 참경치 딘데게 베티안 믹스에게 대와 쇼지 된 제외게 린단데 아니 아딜레데네 심바 밀레야지 소중치고 참제당 장대당 학삼당 수선당 수선修道 수선스나 당에 가려는 수수 동네체 밀레야지 녀도마서야 되수 상마 아니 좀 된데 단다 알데와 용 기구당 소리
이 과사 아제기
아메 아자 안디다 안디 기구당 라신디
그래서 이 러규 양규 숨도 십시디
데 가서나 코로나를 보고 열어
안티기 보고
코로나 보고 제가 신다를 봤다래
알레
이제는 좀된 디치래는 좀된 데라 디춘주 간라 당고 야우자도 말아 오마테야도 투쇼도 그러 그런 보고도 봐 가오사 봐봐 단샤로 제단디 아니지 아마 그러나 참바 저와 수진 학상
알레 부도커럼
말아 아마들 딘데자 아니 부들 딘데 럽좀 디나 아마진이 중으로 딜라고
알레
어제
알았어 아마기 아제디 장바당 된서 숙제요래
딜레데네 좀 된데다 참경 참바 자와 영화 망고지 디네 중서고라
So it's the case that Lord Buddha first learned incredible affection and love from this first relative, the auntie, the sister of Buddha's mother.
다들 다들 transimaladi 겨와 망분에 켈린도와 그런 상계래야니 좀 되는데 겨와 망고라 거기 사장시네와 내려와 거기도 사장시 즉 다도 공부도야다 저도야 켈린데 겨와 망고에 요네 겨와들 좀 되는데 야 켈린제도 저랑 랍디 중니 그래서 즉 다도 공부도고이나 부구 다전지 다야당 나로기 바와당 아마당 저도 상마 다종 예치기 저랑 심대 마치스 당지마 봐 예낭 바와 아마 다도 지야로 다종 지야 부구 다전지는 다종 지야 상망 제고 저랑 다도기 시디 또 좀되는 뒤에 렌체가 도인서라 뒤어서디 다도그 동에디 간에 충을해야 돼 뒤어디 렌체가 도고 하다
네 부모님 이쁘대.
네 그런 게 가로
네.
세다진데기 아마로
근데 예. 근데 공니 개원 냐면
대화 먹어요.
딜 디강나.
근데 저 딜라니 저랑 다도 chanju 두가 주스.
수 부달라.
바와다 아마 그 침내 여부산 되어라.
네 상기 정도인데.
상제 맞고.
네 그런 게 랍잘 때네.
예 그런 아마디 아마말 부모디 저랑 simde 지금 말해 딜라니 에 다jon chego스.
네 게 아마당. 게 파라.
여부산.
오스.
스토리 디카가지 된다. 기리야 두개.
Yeah. So in this case, there was the Nibadra, the anti-marwa. Sapa. So before Lord Buddha was awakened, his partner or wife had a really strong love and affection for Buddha. They had a strong affection for each other. And they had had a connection so many previous lives. And Sangma Gomba Kurang Sangi Chamla de Lapsang Kirang Pa Juna Rabjungna Sangyagares.
She said, you can go, I can look after your father, mother, look after our son. You don't worry about us. You can go, you find your questions answer. What did Buddha has question? What is the root of the suffering? And he couldn't find this answer. Therefore, he ordered and asked him, where's come from this suffering? Where's come from this terrible, And he couldn't find the answer. Therefore, he wanted to find this answer. Therefore, Tanzima is his previous. He was a prince, prince. And Tanzima was a princess,
Yeah.
Samura. And then this reason Buddha can go. Buddhas have some more comfortable leave this behind his son and whole family, This one. Second one, third one is Asubamida. She was the relative, the Buddha's father's relative. And she has jealousy for Buddha because Buddha lived in the palace, and then he became Buddha. She has son, her name is Legend. She wanted her son become king. Therefore, she little bit jealousy and the one
One sage.
And they Lungden Jara, Mamba, Dunged, Kazar, the Koranji Chena, then return that Yamlamba Shinaji, Doris Ra, Dina, change for Amadi, this Tivadi, the Kazadi, Asubamidas in Yintige, and the chair Kaza. Jumden de la Dungem Motonjurda, Mishinjo Dang. 민난조 다 진짜 된다. 동해 돈아니 니중제. 그 동해 그 자와 조금 마시는 레기면도 쓰러와도 간에 총으로서. 예와 시와 나와 그래서 간에 총으로서 땡이라 야기 땡이요 말아 미 땡이요 말아. 아니 아주 밤이다 땡버 가서는 제보티 니중제는 신나지라 도나 아니 그런 부디 겨우차그라 차도하지 이내 좀 된들 펜터를 니중제 동해 통도 니중제 용으로 될 펜터로 그래서
So it was predicted by the sages that if Lord Buddha went and renounced, the kingdom and went ordained, that he would attain to the state of awakening. But the king did not want that to be so. So Buddha was sheltered from seeing the birth, aging, sickness, and death. But it was actually good that he would see birth, aging, sickness, and death, because in dependence on that, he would get renunciation and get to the state of awakening.
그다음에 뭐지 동해 통해를 신나치고로 가문에 신나 동해 통해를 신나치고 말아 동해 통해를 신나제 윤 동해 매워 통해 매워 차고 말아 동해에서 있는 신 아니 강에서 있는 요신 대 주디 간에 충으로 대신고다로
A lot of us get scared of suffering, but we should not be scared at all. We should know its nature. And once you know its nature in terms of its cause, then it is good.
이상다 좀 된데 로망보 짜지 파진 태고 계시네 새로 망보 까왔지 소남사 좋아
Yeah.
안티넬 되네 겨와딜이나 겨보기 제시도 lö단 렐호 말아봐 tumulö단 셀lö단 얍lö단 윰lö단 제시lö단 주상물lö단의 최체들 lö단 전부로
Yeah.
근데
From the perspective of the vast vehicle of Mahayana, many, many lifetimes Lord Buddha had renounced and accrued a lot of merit. And what he did in that life as a prince in terms of giving up that royal situation with the parents, the wife, the partner, renouncing all of that. Not easy to do.
남자 잠블링 믿어서 근데 말아도 되라. 라야.
But everyone in the world is in a situation where they don't get all of that.
먼저 디니다 아니 동해날 통로 와라.
That's why we suffer. We don't get it.
아야. 내가 좀 전에 아니 갈에 로투 가와제네로 와. 갈에 쉬우자였다로 와.
For 6 years, Lord Buddha went through austerities, meditating to reach his goal. So much effort.
그래서 좀 전에 로주 전환서 신이 주거든요. 띵나항 진조 띵갈람니들로다 배세워야
For those of you who want to see or read Lord Buddha's life story, Thich Nhat Hanh's Old Path, White Clouds is clear.
메디 살 숨로인 배야고도디
I've read it 3 times. It's a very good read.
트랜슬레이터도 인지 탭지래도
Yeah.
티베트 탭숨도
There's one English book, but 3 Tibetan volumes translated.
그래서 투베트 망고도 다뤄 망고고도 얘네 야고도 배 디테일체 닝저 쇼도 로기디하고 쇼 지시
Very detailed and very beautifully written in its detail.
이제다 띵나항 총사라
But Thich Nhat Hanh's passed away, right?
다 명zam점이죠 말데
Yeah, it exists just in name.
제가 다 도마 좀 된데 송바보디 니시디 송바보 좀 된데 라레로 뭐디르다.
So the expounder of the Four Noble Truths was Buddha himself.
다드네 최송서 네 유디 유와르나시 자가 와르나시라레로.
Yeah, the place was Varanasi in India.
와르나시들라 디세그로 장송롱와 레다가 나서 장송롱와 세그로.
Yeah.
장송롱와라고 가르스나 좀 된데 다 점을링 딜 마페 공라 다 간도 파진 티베기 시고로. 좀 된데 점을링 딜 마페 공라 간디 이거 주된라 최셰 네 단단데로 예 간디 이거 주된라 개버르 개자 개버 최 개버로 와 최송되고라 다 레게 저체도 아니 산제 초주 산제 롱데지는 다 좀 된데 점을링을 최송가 아마 페고레스로 아니 페두장가 다 개베 개자들은 주진 참바고 먹고니 지진 참고는 계접 참고라고 이 계접 개별 참라고 준비되다. 이제 신은 일이 되는
Yeah,
말.
so Varanasi Drangsong is that sort of right?
장소를 후
Long with
마사오.
so Varanasi was given the name the place where sages, or what are Drangsong? Yeah, these are depths, pop down from the sky. So, before it is said Lord Buddha came to this world, he was residing in Tushita Pure Land, as a regent, expounding Dharma there. But then the karma matured for the beings of this world to have Buddha come. So Buddha came from that pure land of Tushita, and then Maitreya is the regent, means the one that presides over that place while Buddha is teaching here.
그래서 산제 준비돼 마베 공라 버르나실라 란제 술도 란제도 공잡대로. 근데 초주 산제게 세고단데 결혼서 냠샤래 란제. 근데라 산제 피그레스. 전물링된 산제 팽고래 결혼서 내신달라 도고르스와. 아니 건조 다좀바도 란제 다좀바도 똑바요도 건조 추르된데 남나야 핀니 루 때네 매바 원에 추축제 루 주주 된제 남시에 링신달라 도 루도 도토 말아 아니 남네 루 장소디 제 루 상마 마살라 사요자 미드즈 다 장소 홍용고도 장소 홍어서 민토단 레스 토라고.
So how did Varanasi get the name of the place where the sages fall from the sky? Prior to Lord Buddha coming to this world, these solitary, let's say, rhinoceros-like solitary real hearers, they were meditating there, but then Lord Buddha snapped his fingers as if to say, the Buddha's coming, so you should not stay there. They had to go away. But because they were foe destroyers, they were adept in miracles. So at that, they couldn't go to another place in their bodies. So they rose up in space and their bodies dissolved or fell to the ground. So they left the bodies behind by means of fire or water. Then they transferred to another world. So that's why it's called the place where sages fall from the sky, because people would see their bodies coming down from space in Varanasi. So you might ask, why did that happen? How?
그래서는 란제도 mellam제요와. 그래서 란제 다주면 공부한 타벨라 로변 기긴을 마데메지 제가 란제도 뭔데 치워쇼 mellam제도 mellam제가 좀제 가서는 아니 컨저 최세도 최년거라 최년도 심을 담아는 되는데 아니 딩인지 투도도서 그런 저 되버려대 진짜다 제메 응을 좀 상마 제어와 장고에 상마 장 아니 몸자도 계전 연구하면다 미메서 개개메서 개개 먹었어 당아 타도게 전주 응을 장사로 상마 상마 장 응을 장고다라 상마 장 아니 되네다 스스다 신약을 딩도 탑스는 아니 신나지라 개개만 되면지 개개게 최면 님마시제 최 메시지는 개개 메시지라 아니 로고 예스 mellam자로 제단 그런 mellam자인자 너데 미추신이 동바 피용고 인자 건조 대대서요 말다 로고 레고 mellam지 제단도 mellam자지 배 섭사적으로 mellam자지
How did that come to be? These solitary realizers, they made a prayer to be foe destroyers, to reach their goal without relying on a teacher. They listen to teachings again and again, and they study it. And then if they listen to teachings after having made that resolve, it would interrupt or scatter their single-pointed concentration. So they study and train till they need not study anymore. They meditate and actualize their goal. They make aspirations. May I be in a place where there's no teacher? And they kind of make that kind of promise or guarantee. And this is karma, because when Buddha came down, because Buddha would teach, they couldn't stay. because they'd made that resolve to be where there's no teacher. So kind of be careful what you wish for. This is the power of aspiration and resolve.
어디체 다 유디체로 투다 투주 가지고 성을 좀 된데 산제에 네 편다 시베체 좀 쇼베 나고 하나 좀데 아니라 다디네 네
this 상계로
산제는 니마 시비시고 최송 요 말다 가래스나 아니 니마 시비시고 최마송 가래라나 최송세 뒤제 대화 요새지라고 요만다 그래서 아니 니마 시비시고제라고 하더니 편다 두배 채워 실라다 이 루나 캘린더서 오라운도
근데 좀 벌써듯이
편다 두배 채워 실라 아니 투주디 대시 중고송야게 투주 그냥 편다 두배 채워 실라 먼저 초고 투지에서 배 미시기 벽은 데리버디게 난딩이 최 지루디게 텔라시다 송지체 시다기 지그래로
in terms of Shakyamuni Buddha's enlightenment in Bodhgaya, it was on like the third watch of the night, wasn't it? On the full moon. But Lord Buddha didn't teach. Initially it was for 49 days. Initially he didn't teach Dharma because there was no one who could listen. No one had the karma to listen. But then eventually when he did teach, it was the fourth day of the sixth lunar month. And that's why we celebrate Chugikulu Duchin. We celebrate that day as the first turning of the wheel day.
제가 뒤에 사비도 되어서 두마치 두즈다가 최시 코인이세 술라데나 코아미네베 문바나지네스 네바샤스 좀네데 가랑게 사와단 제시 드바단 테베 네베세 두마치에게 최 다도게 장주 공부하는 말라 톱송스 이나야 데 톱에 탑람데 단다 메셰베나 권위민도스로와 시에는 권위민자 내가 문번 나고 체제다 내래샤 시니면 쉬쉬고 처마송을 대고야 돼 최송세에게 두자 다 메셰니 그거에다 그 년이라고 말다 네데 다다 되어야 버지 자기요 말봐
Lord Buddha stated after awakening, I have found something profound, free from elaboration, the nature of clear light, uncompounded. Should I teach it, no one would understand, so I shall remain silent in the forest. Here, Lord Buddha had obtained a valid path, but knew that no one would get it. It became like dark, so there was no one to teach it to.
그래서 시 쪼데라 고지 쇼지래도 쪼데라 먼저 단다 먼저 정말 쪼베 징데요 봐 따와디 디무디지 말고 나 신이단지 텔레테네 아니 나 녜세 랑진디세 아니 테네 딩에리 디코레 아니지 딱 가시게 주민이지 남도서지 아니 디 야와망고 제제로 와 점블링을 연제망고 쉬우치 아니 나 디게 초도이 나 디 초도 말해서 아니 이게 완전 파지 마지막만 거 쉬우지 참마 저저서데 단지세 마신이디 계주모 임바딜라 투디어 다간다로 나당에 촉도 나 계주모 임마세 예 촉도 나를 가버치니디 계주모레스 나랑게 따와지고디 계주모레스 디왕게 데메바디 제데 야말라디 디왕게다 완전 동해만 거 쉬우지 용구여로 그래서 산지 전에데 쪼바디게 야말다 쪼 테스 쪼바디 테레 여와 말은 띵하다 고 상만 찍고 직장하는 심지 탐지 찍고 직장한다고 그래. 피조원에 지 유경에 가려요나 생리 가득 차다. 예 요말다. 차다 요 말에. 아니 예시하게 단지 간지 숙제 뭐. 간지지 여치야 돼 면조. 메디는 드바단 테레스도 다 오늘게 시디지 요아디 드데 가는 거 삼다나 오늘 시디세다 제랑도 남된지 가도
So now this statement, I have found something profound and free from elaboration. This one, free from elaboration, is a very vast point. No elaborations, mental constructs. Here, for us, because we have unawareness that grasps at things being inherently or truly existent, particularly in relevance to a self, grasping at I and mine, then we're always revolving I and then it's mine, it's theirs, making all these kinds of borders, demarcations and mental constructs. This is my side, this is your side. All of it coming from ego clinging. And if it's from I and mine and my side, it's okay. If it's my view, it's okay. But if it's not, then it disagrees with your view and suffering results. Buddha had none of that elaboration or conceptualizing. He saw all beings as the same. He had no partisan view to beings, being attached to some beings and having aversion towards others. So because there are no elaborations of I and mine, there was mental peace. And we'll discuss this more when we get to true paths, the third noble truth or fourth.
다 뒤에도 제로와 다 간상술을 송그랬으니 공안들 송으라 공안들 상무라.
We looked at the time when this was taught in Varanasi and who was in the retinue, the 5 close disciples.
다디 저 근데 차르스디 지난 루지 먹고들 단들 루지다 깨다 치셔도지 아니 담을 루지에서도 배율해야다 미상맥이 온다라다 계세님도 진게 아니 루디 다 따도가라 아니 짐바다레스티 다 단대베 마지 주어주어체 단다이네 다디 내도 자신지제 도 지거를 봐 무슨 상만내제도 나고 상만들내제도 근데 가르스나 주두기 따도가디 단대 공화의 상무들에도 겨와만 그러와 뒤뒤게 다 예선님도 진게 수술 류디 마 tum부 폐제 아니 따도라 짐바다니디 또 좀 된데 겨와래도 그래서 뒤뒤게 아니 좀 된데 류게 콘서 짐바 샤 짐바 당 인자 되게 저와차 제가 다 공화의 상무들라 저와디 요 인자 저 요다 그런서 이내 양지 심지 동해세에 따와지 고도스다 건도 대대 다지 동해신이디 직도스다고 용세 직진의 용대기 도스로 용세 자와디 현고도 시제 지난에 대바윤이지 다네 디나네 카셰다 야시네 도고 통보 통교든지 레데 교시 교든에서는 삼딘 시와 톱사인서로
삼진 시바
디 권내를 신의 톱 병원시에 윤조들의 힌두 자가게 힌두나라 신의 동원시도에 여러 근데 힌두가 따로 제다 힌두게 타와서야 돼 지엠이 삼단데 근데 디 레면도 단도 동해가 자월하듯이야 봐. 디 타버 레면도 단도 타르게면도 동해가 자월하듯이야. 디 동해가 자월이 안에 중요해다. 아니 근데 매워서야 돼. 태고도 디 되어야 얘기 미지래도 공화되디. 디체니 아니 공화되려야 직출 소야게 레게 되어 차단디 어딘데스 진충으로서
in terms of, so that was the time, in terms of who was present, the 5 close disciples in the retinue of Buddha that were there. Historically, this comes, we can see in current day Nepal, the place where it took place, Tamal Luchin, the place where the body was offered to the tigress. So that is a pilgrimage place to this day, if you wish to go there. Here, Lord Buddha had this connection with these 5 disciples over a series of lifetimes. This one is highlighted in that Buddha, who in the previous life, previous mental continuum, was a prince, and that came across a hungry tigress with 5 cubs, and with his own flesh fed that tigress and the 5 cubs. So as a result of feeding the tigress with flesh, there was a direct connection made, so that when the teaching came to be given, it was those 5 that were directly in the retinue, having given the body on that level. So therefore, from the side of the disciples, what were they looking for? They wanted to remove the mental suffering at the root. This is what they were desirous of. Now, some of these disciples had already reached a very high state of realization or samadhi, the fourth level of concentration, fourth level of samadhi, and had already attained calm abiding, shamatha, and clairvoyance, which was, well, prevalent in the tradition of those Hindu yogis. And some of them, particularly the teacher within these five, Kushyadhyana, he had reached a level of concentration called focus on nothingness, a type of mental absorption. But here, although there was well-being, the root of suffering still remained. And this is what they wanted to remove. So they sought that from Buddha. The subtle clinging to.
Yeah. Yeah, power, may pada. May pada anytime go to in some Zulakan main temple in Hesa Choga. They had this Jimurwa, Roranwa, type, this generosity, this tower. And he all the time keep this explained. Don't touching your body. Any need good generosity practice, reminding. Any transition year, Maris did. Jumden, Susu Louis in Jimbatan rest. Susu Twain, Millet Joel the Terrorist, near Boggy. I do know all of the thing.
Oh, my father would remind me of not clinging to the body in terms of vanquishing clinging. And then the Lord Buddha actually gave his body away. Dad would remind me.
And the ne power Pamala. Nyagam Yaro, Telegram, Shoja. The Pamala. Color Jamna, Yabadin in the years, removing you than the door. Pamalapa. Agutavina, Javina, Telegana, my shade of the Rumutija. How was I?
Ah.
Today, and it meek your meek Pamal Milo than Milo Jaju of the years. Jimmy Nyawala and the Jagger Sogora. But the thing that Pamala in the Nordashana, leg Nami, Remonala in the Yoro Pamala that Nepejim. This new shake usually.
I was warned by my dad looking at the picture of the wheel of life when it shows the beings' tongues being extended and being cut into and drawn into, and some people's eyes being sewn and so forth. To take care. If I didn't take care, I could be going there. So in that sense, I could have been a naughty boy.
Well, you do this
warning
family, especially father, mother, and
oh yeah, if you don't respect the parents, that's the outcome. Don't listen to them and so forth. Then
what did it?
As a result.
It's not long though.
Yeah, you have to apply logic to it.
Oh, the the catching more of church, that the church all young, the church and Joa. Any those big catching more at Joa. Joa's in the go on Joa. Joa manner, any young Marwa.
What's being said is those in Buddha's immediate kind of retinue, there's a connection there. So that kind of karmic connection in terms of the Dharma, that you have come to the center too.
Oh, the Kazan Tilla did the Konga Sang Machero. And in a Kansoya Chudi, Dembashi, the Resta, Kansoya Chudi, Dembashi, Chedan Jumden, Sanjani, Dembashi, Jingo Nezulam, Dembashi, call a Juber on the Chene, and it couldn't do them but the Gunjundeba, call a Dober and Bell on the Chene, Lamdeda Golden's Jeje. Those channels, the machine I'm shading my soon with it. When you do shit, when you do shiny, and this is doing it, our shit. Doing it, doing it, Talan the shit, Tishi weather in your nature, and it doing the travelers. Labja, did your word measure? Jumde the Sanjas to do your son of Tuya, number Peter, Tanda Ji Kala in the Tandaman and Tanda Say, magic to do shooting the Yorod. 주주 아니 것이 결혼해서 겨왕하면 대련샤 이것이 지금것이 시고요 뭐
땡기면
카도 그런 동의 자시 덴바시 남샤 덴바시 남샤도 송으로 덴바시 남샤는 주주다 것이다 내 계제 야마를 나다 또지 힐링다 내 계제 야마다 와치 힐링 밀링 야마 들치가 내가 시고래지 시니 동의 세고래지 어디 송샤로다
what was taught initially from Buddha was the Four Noble Truths, wasn't it? And here it was concerned with the reality that there's a way that we enter into the cycle of existence, or an unenlightened axis, if you will, of true sufferings and true origins. And secondly, there's a way to get out of it. There's a way to get out of that unenlightened state with true paths and true cessations. So essentially, on the one hand, not only being concerned with dissatisfaction and sufferings, but what's the root of it? And then setting about to remove that root with a method. That's the reality Lord Buddha was concerned with for beings, not, okay, so showing how to be miraculous, showing how to manifest food miraculously, or clairvoyance. Not saying, oh, you were such and such in the past lives. Lord Buddha wasn't concerned with any of that. He wanted to set forth the reality, the Four Noble Truths.
어디 간소에 최대 덴바시다 덴바시 소야 되라니 송대를 맞습니다 남자 중이 거네 배웠음 남자 중이 거네 소이 따데 따든데 좀 마시에 소샤나라 되는 거 모두 소하데
So then how was the teaching given? That was given in 3 phases, making 12 aspects. That's how it was taught.
따든데 좀 마시에 되라
Yeah, so 4 truths, 3 phases, making 12 aspects. We'll look at that in the following weeks. Today's been a little bit.
저는 저 좋아해나 까마 데스도 좋아했지
Few moments left for questions if you have.
야
Quite hear how he ordained nun.
Ale gidi como sumba di ani di angi chamde kandus pen kongi garden
그래
mare ani ba
그래 안디래 디래 가자 뭐민라 칸이사 된데 아수바민다 라더라
vasu pamida
아수바민다
kurangi logi testis
아수바민다데 파워게 좀 되게 파워데 파워 빈자
so this was
안디로
yeah sorry not nun but the Tibetan word is Annie so it was auntie
안디리
it was the father's sister
Father's sister, but the auntie, you said there were 3 women.
Yeah.
2 aunties and 1 wife.
one auntie is mother's sister
and one
auntie
is father's
father's
sister yeah not nun
Okay.
Yeah.
세상에
Because she was jealous and put it out there.
그래서는 he has son name is Heji.
Lechi.
She want to become he become king, you know.
She wanted her son to become king.
If Buddha Shajaman is so suffering, and he leave palace, he go to he become monk, he become Buddha. And therefore, if he do like that, and then Andi's son Hejin become king. This reason she shows suffering. She took Buddha's suffering.
So that's how she's kind.
Buddha's father don't want to show. Just
Yeah,
make
the
it.
king didn't want to show Lord Buddha the suffering, but she did.
그래서 먼저 동해 토나 막아오죠. 동해 토나 아니 동해 제외 닝지게다 편도 먹고도 안 오네.
Sometimes we don't want to see suffering, but if you really see suffering, it's the fuel. It's like the way you see compassion. You cultivate compassion.
It's online. It's okay. No question. Do you have? Yeah.
Was the Buddha involved with Hinduism? Was he a Hindu?
이게 상기 잡는데 그 힌두 주력 당좌위 오르베.
열이. 당보 힌두 출신이래요.
Yes.
Jumdi de Hindu chela rig yawashik jobada de chunjugane rig yawomindu lagoya nandu rig chikpares. Hindu chela rig di shivitigorwa.
Yeah.
Ani jumdi ani kunjo sayadi ni kunjo kunjo kelen jumdi de chunjugane kunjo mindu lagdo. Kunjo mindu suna kunjo khawaya kunjo suyu thongare. Tiwati de lenjara goma sujig. Na yo mari lag mara. Jumdi de kunjo yorwas. Yona kunjo suyu thongare. Kunjo khawaya. 안가도 미마나 동해인데도 군조 깨고면도 가래스 저거든지 지금도 안치 힌두 나라 롭종 중 힌두게 신의 로면인데 때 아니 신의 그 도보도 톱 안디네 아니 딘네다 힌두게 토베야게 타르바로도 톱네 아니 단도 동해 그 자와 둘라제 아니 힌디 최디 샤네 아니 낭바다 다 힌두 릭지 망고지게 낭베 최디 힌두 뿌이 타고 찬조 인요 이지 지거를 건도 이나 먼저 배들 나와래 낭바게 군조 켈린 지금 말해 레일 되네 좀 되네 레일 되네 총으로 미시 군조 신이지 민도스 다 치스 타주 제로 군조 신이들 하도 도지 수야 민도다 그래서 레일 되네 두고도시 좀 되네 지금은 당고 힌두랑래 다 당고 힌두래.
Yes, I mean, at the time of Lord Buddha, that was prevalent, the Hindu teachings. But Lord Buddha didn't like this caste division. And Lord Buddha would say things like, what's that about? We're all the same caste. And of course, because the Hindus believed in God, from a very young age, Lord Buddha did not. You'd say, God? What is God? Where is it? Show me God. Who's seen God? He would ask. But no one could answer clearly. And then Buddha thought, there are so many people suffering. Why doesn't God protect them? And of course, there was a state of liberation in that Hindu belief of meditation. But, some of the Hindus had obtained calm abiding and gotten insights as teachers. But there was a very clear difference between belief in God and then from Buddha's perspective, the Triratna, three jewels, and karma. There's a big difference between those two in terms of predicaments and results. Clear? Yeah, but before Buddha was a Hindu, but then he was not anymore.
He's developed. He did update very fast.
He updated.
Hindus very slow. Stay no updating. Hindus stay there, stuck there. Buddha very good updating. Now the above is now 15. Hindus stay above 4.
Thank you. One more thing.
Yeah.
White Cloud is Clear. Is that the name of the book?
Clear Path White Clouds, is it called? Old Path White Clouds.
Old path. Yeah. Oh yeah, that is shower.
Yeah, I will dedicate now.
Page 31 with the following number.
Losan tembe dreme sasumye dreme meseda domne yur idam guru rane meda daya
Over the page. To the merit of these
Go di you do the mamas and you do what you do.
section into the
Changes in Jerem Moji, Majan, and there are the Jews or the largest and Sanjay the way
May it be the darkness.
学校我这个人是的人我在我的人怎么是这些我
Be pacified.
那这个不是
They don't know their teaching, but they don't know their deeds. Makes extremely clear the power of the unification of oppression. The Lord of sovereignty and desolate siege. May all the holy wishes be spontaneously fulfilled. You are Lord, to build model way, and serve the bountiful bear on wall, sustaining, preserving, and spreading of human's victorious doctrine. Emasculating, accomplishing, magnificent prayers, honoring the three jewels. Say that myself and others your desires, please, swiftly return. Paralyzing to the nations of myself and others the three times. May it teach of the power of those same travel of the time. And on the different states, on the burning prayer. Yeah, let's see, then we have.
没得嘛，现在你那
Victorious one, then God.
对，这个是没学的，反正 你们那就
Spreading the inspirations and complete teachings. Your information practice, you all have techniques in the storage. Make a parallel for you and all the place. While striving to the point of lead for the sake of Victoria's one's teachings, the soul gateway to ritual benefit of happiness and marriage. And for all other living beings, that's what the power to peace, what a great loss. Nevertheless, through the undeceiving truth of the blessings of the ocean of the three jewels, the great waves of which you built the children of the glorious one, make the power of the revelation with the big or
然后的教我们进的咱们叫的定不习惯特别老呢，这样会有的是。
It's good if you read the book on the family of the foods from His Holiness, you know, covers the London tour, the small one. Good to read that.
yeah, we've got this. It's a small book.
We keep copies around.
Yeah, we have it available for you to buy. It's only $25. It's a great book.